The French resistance. Madeleine walked the narrow streets of Paris, her heart heavy with the burden of occupation, her mind set on joining the fight against the Nazi regime. The resistance was whispered about in dimly lit cafes, but Madeleine had to seek out the shadows to find her place among the brave. Her first mission was simple: deliver a coded message to a contact in Montmartre, a task that filled her with both fear and determination. Jean was waiting for her in the cafe, his eyes scanning the room, his calm demeanor masking the tension of the clandestine meeting. "The nightingale sings at midnight," he murmured as she handed him the envelope, the agreed-upon phrase signaling trust. The message delivered, Madeleine slipped back into the Parisian crowd, her heart racing as she felt the weight of the war on her shoulders. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of secret rendezvous, coded messages, and whispered plans, each step pulling her deeper into the resistance. Madeleine learned to hide in plain sight, using the chaos of war-torn Paris to mask her movements and blend in with the occupied city. Hélène, an older woman who had been in the resistance since the beginning, took Madeleine under her wing, teaching her the art of survival. "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it," Hélène would say, her words echoing in Madeleine's mind as she faced each new challenge. The resistance was not without its dangers, and Madeleine knew that one wrong move could mean the end for her and those she cared about. Lucien was a man of mystery, his loyalties as elusive as the shadows he moved through, leaving Madeleine uncertain of his true intentions. "Trust is a luxury we cannot afford," Jean warned her, his eyes dark with the weight of too many betrayals, his words a reminder of the stakes. Despite the danger, Madeleine found herself drawn to Jean, their shared purpose forging a bond that grew stronger with each passing day. The nights were filled with the sounds of boots on cobblestone, the low hum of military vehicles, and the whispered fears of a city under siege. Madeleine's hands shook as she wired a detonator to a railway bridge, the mission to sabotage Nazi supply lines pushing her nerves to the brink. The explosion lit up the night sky, a beacon of defiance against the occupiers, a moment of triumph tinged with the ever-present fear of discovery. Each mission brought new risks, and the resistance network was ever vigilant, always adapting to the increasing pressure from the Gestapo. Hélène was captured one cold morning, her calm acceptance of fate a stark reminder of the price they all might pay, leaving Madeleine haunted by her mentor's fate. The loss of Hélène hit the resistance hard, but they pushed on, driven by the belief that freedom was worth any sacrifice. Lucien's behavior grew more erratic, his actions more suspect, leaving Madeleine to wonder if he was playing both sides of the deadly game. Jean confided in Madeleine his suspicions about Lucien, but with so few trusted allies, confronting him was a risk they couldn't yet afford to take. The resistance received word of an upcoming raid on a German munitions depot, a high-risk operation that could turn the tide in their favor. Madeleine volunteered to infiltrate the depot, her resolve steeled by the knowledge that every small victory brought them closer to liberation. Disguised as a cleaning woman, she slipped into the depot, the weight of the explosives hidden in her bucket heavier than anything she had ever carried. The ticking clock in her head kept time with her heartbeat as she planted the charges, each second bringing her closer to discovery or escape. The explosion rocked the city, a thunderous declaration that the resistance was still alive, still fighting, still defying the Nazi grip on Paris. With each mission, Madeleine became more skilled, her nerves more steely, but the toll of the constant danger began to weigh heavily on her soul. The news of D-Day reached them like a breath of hope, the promise of liberation on the horizon, fueling their resolve to keep fighting. Jean's words were a balm to Madeleine's fears, his belief in their cause unwavering, even as the risks grew with each passing day. Lucien's betrayal came as a bitter blow, his treachery exposed during a mission that nearly cost them everything, leaving them to regroup and recover. "We can't give up now," Jean said, his voice steady, his eyes burning with determination, a spark of hope that kept them all going. Paris was a city of secrets, and the resistance moved through it like ghosts, their presence felt but never fully seen, a constant thorn in the side of the occupiers. The liberation of Paris was nearing, the signs of the coming Allied forces a beacon of hope that grew brighter with each passing day. Madeleine's final mission was to coordinate with the advancing Allied troops, a dangerous task that required all of her courage and cunning. She navigated the war-torn streets, dodging patrols and avoiding checkpoints, her heart pounding with the knowledge that the end was near. The city erupted in celebration as the first Allied tanks rolled into Paris, a moment of pure joy that brought tears to Madeleine's eyes. The price of their victory was high, the faces of those they had lost haunting Madeleine as she stood among the cheering crowds. Jean found Madeleine in the chaos, their embrace a bittersweet reunion, the joy of liberation tempered by the losses they had endured. The resistance had won, but the scars of the battle would remain, a reminder of the cost of freedom, a price paid in blood and sacrifice. Lucien's fate was sealed, his betrayal met with the swift justice of the resistance, a final act of retribution for those who had fallen. Paris was free, but the city was forever changed, the streets bearing the scars of war, the people forever marked by the struggle for liberation. Madeleine and Jean walked through the streets of Paris, the echoes of the past mingling with the hope for a future built on the ashes of war. The joy of victory was mingled with sorrow, the knowledge that so many had been lost along the way, their sacrifices the foundation of a free Paris. As the sun set over the liberated city, Madeleine stood on a hill overlooking Paris, her heart heavy with the memories of those who had fought beside her. The wind carried the distant sound of church bells, a symbol of peace returning to a city that had been held in the grip of tyranny for too long. Jean's hand in hers was a comfort, a reminder that despite the losses, they had survived, and they would honor the fallen by living. The future was uncertain, but as the first stars appeared in the sky, Madeleine knew that they had won more than just a battle, they had won the right to hope. The war had taken much from her, but it had also given her a purpose, a reason to fight, and a city that she loved more than ever. The resistance had been her family, and though many were gone, their spirits would forever live on in the streets and hearts of Paris. Jean's voice was soft as he spoke of rebuilding, of finding a way to move forward, of turning their pain into something beautiful. The city would rebuild, brick by brick, heart by heart, each piece a testament to the strength of those who had fought for its freedom. Madeleine's resolve was firm as she vowed to honor the memories of those who had fallen, to live in a way that would make their sacrifices worthwhile. Paris was free, and as the sun rose over the city the next morning, Madeleine knew that it was a new beginning, a chance to start again. The scars of war would heal with time, but the lessons learned and the bonds forged in the fires of resistance would remain forever. Madeleine walked through the city, the wind in her hair, the sounds of a free Paris all around her, a symphony of hope and renewal. She knew that the fight was not truly over, that there would always be battles to be fought, but she was ready, her heart strong and her spirit unbreakable. The City of Lights was shining once more, its brilliance a beacon of freedom, a testament to the power of those who had refused to bow. As she stood in the heart of Paris, Madeleine smiled, knowing that she had played a part in the story of her city, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and triumph.